would be fun today to do a mythical creatures facts video. I plan to be turning this into a series where I will do facts on many different mythical creatures and things like that. I eventually plan to extend to gods and goddesses and things like that. And I've always been fascinated by Greek and Roman mythology, so I thought it would be like a fun little series on different facts and things like that. Today we're going to be doing the enchanting world of fairies, and I have prepared this nice hibiscus tea for you, as I know it is very hot outside. It's very tangy and refreshing. I don't know, I've always also loved glass spoons, I've always also loved glass straws, and I thought it was very perfect for the video as it's very fairy-like. It has this nice intricate handle, and anyways, I hope you enjoy, and hopefully it makes you feel as relaxed as I feel when I drink it. So here you go. I'll put that down there for you. Oh yeah, okay, enjoy. The lifespan of fairies, they say, are around 1,000 years old. Fairies have roots in Celtic, German, and Norse mythology. They even have appeared in some forms of nymphs in Greek mythology. They are often described as human-like, with wings, possessing magical powers. I always enjoyed that aspect of them. They can range in size from being humanoid or often 1 inch tall, which I always thought that those were the cutest depiction of fairies, are the little ones that are kind of quite naughty, honestly. They weigh about the weight of a postage stamp. All fairies prefer flying over walking. I would too if I had wings. I mean, maybe I do. We'll find out. Fairies are also vegan, and they live in fairy houses, often preferring to sleep on beds of moss, which sounds quite comfortable. I would imagine it's very soft and probably very smells like the earth, you know. I could see that being very cozy. They are believed to have magical abilities such as invisibility, enhanced strength, and telekinesis. Quite cool if you ask me. I've always felt like I have telekinesis because things fly at me off the shelves at the store. It's very random. They also have illusion magic and the ability to grant blessings and curses. Fairies can be benevolent, mischievous, or even dangerous. It depends on which folklore you are following. Often, though, I feel that they are very mischievous, beautiful but mischievous. They are often connected with the natural and may even interfere in human affairs. They are extremely connected to nature, especially plants and moss and all those things in the springtime, which is, I suppose we're a little bit into summer now, but I always think of it as like Summerland and, you know, eternal spring and things like that. So it's kind of the perfect time of year. They prefer to mate for life, but they prefer living with the other girls. They do not like to live with their male partners, so they say. They also say that fairies hate iron. That is a big thing for them, and they also do not like bread and salt, apparently, which makes sense. And the reason I say that about the salt, particularly the bread, surprised me, but the salt I understand is because they're from the natural world, right? A lot of insects, a lot of bugs, things like that in the garden, a lot of creatures in the garden do not like salt. It makes them very sick. Even for some animals, it can really harm them, like slugs, things like that, right? So obviously it would make sense that they are not. It would make sense to me that they do not necessarily enjoy what could harm their friends and things like that in the garden community. So I understand that. Never go into fairylands without an escape. Time passes by very quickly in fairyland, and if you are not careful, you will end up there way longer than you thought. Oftentimes, even 20-30 minutes could be several days, several weeks. So you always want to make sure that you have a way to leave fairyland if you were to enter there. If you are lucky enough to have a fairy who detained you in fairyland to let you go, make sure you say, "I forgive you," 3 times. Fairies love all things that are sparkly. They love sparkles. So do I. Fairy food is extremely addictive. Just one taste and you will potentially be addicted for life and never be able to eat normal human food ever again. It is not recommended that you ever accept food from the fairies. As beautiful and as tempting as it looks, it is not worth it. You will have to eat fairy food and only fairy food for the rest of your life. I should also mention it's very hard to resist. The male fairies are called follies. Little is known about them as they do not talk. They are mute. They didn't always used to be mute, but the female fairies preferred the mute males, and selectively they only picked the ones that couldn't speak, and therefore the follies that did were essentially bred out. Fairies are fiercely independent, and it takes 140 years for a fairy to become an adult, and 14 years before they can walk when they are children. Fairies, while they're able to confuse with being told thank you, as they see it as for getting a good deed done. They prefer to have gifts as it makes them feel more appreciated. Fairies love gifts. If you do not leave them gifts, they will take things from you. Sometimes they will take something like your iPad. Good luck if you ever see that again. Or something sometimes they'll take something a little bit smaller. But it's often said that you should always leave gifts for the fairies so that they don't come take your things. Especially if you ask for a favor, always leave a gift. They also have a tendency to take sparkly earrings, so always make sure to leave them something. Fairies also steal babies, human babies, and replace them with changelings. We're not sure why this is. There is a theory that they believe that the babies belong to them and maybe are fairies, so they take them back, but little is known. It could also just be that they are mischievous. You must have permission from a fairy before you're allowed to capture their photograph. They require consent. Otherwise, you are in for a world of hurt. Always ask permission, and honestly, it should be that way for everyone, right? Have you ever encountered fairies? If you have, let me know your story. If you have any cool fairy-esque stories. My mom used to read me this book, and I loved it as a child. We had a beautiful backyard, and so we would leave things for the fairies, and my mom would have me write in these little messages, like fairy-sized, with little envelopes, and the fairies, who knows, would write me back, and it was so cute. I absolutely adored it. I think it was a really fun way to think about the backyards and just the beauty it brings, and honestly all those sort of things. I'm not going to go over this whole book in this video, but I plan to for a different video. It's gorgeous. It has all these beautiful pictures, and when I was re-going through it, I had to ask myself, do I still remember how to read cursive? It's been so long, nobody uses it anymore, and I think it's beautiful, but obviously you rarely see it. And we're all writing on our phones and our laptops and that sort of thing. It's kind of sadly like a lost art, I feel. I'm not sure if there's even still teaching it in schools, honestly, but it is beautiful. Thankfully, I do still remember how to read it, because that would have been rather unfortunate, I would say. But yeah, so that's my little anecdote about the fairies that we used to mingle with in our backyard. Now I have seen things like adorable fairy doors and such that you can put on your trees and other little things that very much give things a magical touch, I would say. Looks like you're in another realm of some kind, and I really like that. It's amazing all the beautiful things that people can come up with. I always wonder, anyways, I definitely would say that me and fairies share an affinity for sparkly things. That is most definitely true. apparently so do a lot of other mythical creatures that we will get into. I hope these fairy facts have lulled you, lulled you, lulled you to sleep. I hope you sleep well until next time. Good night, honeys. Let me know also if there are any magical creatures or things that